October thunderclap. During the fourth plenum, a hacker collective raided CCP official portals and military-industrial websites, exposing the 15th Five-Year Plan scam and top-level secret recordings. Meanwhile, China's economy avalanches, 900 million in debt, brick-and-mortar shops shuttering, foreign capital wiped out. From cyberwar to economic war, the cracks in the system are fully erupting. Don't miss the next drop, subscribe and hit the bell. They made their move. At the most sensitive moment of the CCP fourth plenum, an anti-CCP hacker group broke straight into CCP official websites. Across the homepage, one line, "Only without the Communist Party can there be a new China." Beijing was furious. But before the CCP could react, the second, third, and fourth waves of attacks exploded one after another, from party-building sites to aerospace and military-industrial pages and on into 9 university intranets. Everything got hacked. The entire regime looked as if it had been publicly stripped bare. Even more shocking, the hackers claimed they intercepted secret audio of top-level discussions at the fourth plenum, publicly naming the meeting as a 15th Five-Year Plan scam and exposing how the CCP plunders the people's wealth, hollows them out, and repackages it all as a development blueprint. In the real world, the truth is spreading another way. Shops on the street are closing one after another, foreign firms are fleeing one by one. Even with 300 billion in subsidies, the government can't stop the economic avalanche. This isn't a hacker conspiracy, it's a signal of systemic collapse. Today we're going to talk about this October thunderclap that runs from hacker war to economic breakdown. Anti-CCP hackers ignite a cyber war, breaching official portals and university sites. In recent days, a quiet yet nerve-wracking cyber war has erupted at the CCP's Neural Center. At the politically sensitive moment of the CCP's 20th Central Committee fourth plenum, the anti-CCP hacker group, Anonymous 64, suddenly appeared, no warning, no mercy, and launched 4 consecutive waves of attacks. From CCP official sites, universities, and public security, judicial systems, they pushed straight into aerospace, the military-industrial sector, and external propaganda outlets. They said they intercepted secret discussions among top leaders and would expose the 15th Five-Year Plan scam behind the plenum. This operation shocked many because it was an organized, planned, politically intentional, open confrontation. Wave 1, dropping a shock bomb on CCP official portals. In the early hours of October 22, Anonymous 64 posted on the overseas platform X, announcing, "We are Anonymous 64, and we're back. We have breached 4 CCP official websites and intercepted records of top-level secret talks." Of the 4 sites, the most eye-catching was the China Council for the Promotion of International Trade's industry site, whose homepage was swapped with a striking image: slaves crushed beneath a dining table at the bottom, CCP officials and a table laden with delicacies above. The couplets on either side read, "No slavery, we want freedom," and "No lies, we want truth," with the horizontal scroll, "Only without the Communist Party can there be a new China." The Asia-Pacific Economic News Network homepage was also hacked, featuring the same image plus a heavyweight article, "Fourth Plenum 15th Five-Year Plan, Scam, Elite Splurge and Grab Wealth, the People Reduced to Human Minds in Hell." The subheads pulled no punches: "Blueprint turns trap, 5-year plans become elite get-rich schemes, the people's lament as human minds, savings emptied, shouldering crushing debts." Every section bristled with gunpowder. The other 2 breached sites, Jiangsu's Xinhua Party Building Network and Liaoning Party Building Network, were likewise replaced with the same thematic page, a giant headline, "Fourth Plenum 15th Five-Year Plan, Scam," paired with those familiar couplets. This was political bombardment on the mainland internet. Wave 2, taking aim at public security and the judicial system. Next, Anonymous 64 announced the second wave targets, this time the CCP's internal control systems. Sites for local government units like the Baoding Justice Bureau and Huangshan Public Security Information Network were all hit. More sensitive still, external propaganda platforms such as China Foreign News and China International News Media were hacked as well. Anonymous 64 stripped the pretense with one line: "The truth of how the fourth plenum squeezes the people lies behind these websites." Wave 3, penetrating the military-industrial and high-tech turf. Their third wave targeted the field the CCP can least afford to appear weak in: military industry and high-tech. Shenyang Ziwei Testing Instruments, Suzhou Huadian Networks, and several suppliers closely tied to power, new energy, and chip R&D all got taken in one pot. These entities linked directly to the CCP's aerospace and military sectors. Anonymous 64 stated the intent of this phase openly. The truth of the CCP's fourth plenum plotting to fleece the people is laid bare before your eyes. That message wasn't just for the CCP, it read like a public call to all Chinese netizens. Wave 4, a direct strike on 9 university forums. Their fourth wave drove straight into the high ground of ideas, Chinese university campuses. They successfully breached internal forums at 9 universities, including Fudan University, Central South University, and Beijing University of Posts and Telecommunications, and posted large volumes of content exposing the plenum's conspiracy. Their appeal was blunt: students nationwide, open your eyes and rip off the CCP's ugly mask. Stand up and resist, refuse to be puppets. Not their first strike. In fact, this was not Anonymous 64's first action. Back in March this year, they impersonated the Ministry of State Security to hack military websites, even naming 5 top CCP officials as traitors. In October last year, they breached military websites tied to the Wuchang Military Academy, National Defense, Armed Police, the Air Force, and the Strategic Support Force, publishing scathing attacks on Xi Jinping's tyranny. They are especially adept at timed strikes, choosing to act whenever the CCP convenes the 2 sessions, holds press conferences, or rolls out major policies. On the 2nd anniversary of the White Paper movement, they again addressed Chinese netizens. Are you doing okay? Accusing the CCP of dragging the economy down and driving youth unemployment to new highs. This time, seizing the critical note of the fourth plenum, Anonymous 64 launched 4 waves, hitting from both inside and outside the system, exposing, revealing, and striking hard without restraint. This isn't a simple tech show, it's information warfare, and a confrontation to break CCP information control and spread the truth. The end of an era, China's brick-and-mortar stores are disappearing. Online, hackers expose the CCP's deceptions. In real life, ordinary people's days no longer need hackers to reveal the truth. Just walk down the street, look at the shuttered storefronts and empty malls, and the economic reality is right in front of you. Have you been to a brick-and-mortar store lately? Not the mall you hit on weekends, but the kind of shop you actually walk into to browse and buy something? In China, places like that are disappearing fast. Shanghai, Chongqing, Fuzhou, Qingdao, Changsha. From big cities to third-tier towns, more and more shops are closing down, department stores are being converted into badminton courts, pharmacies simply sell daily necessities. Some people joke bitterly, better turn it into a cemetery than leave it empty. That's no joke, it's a true snapshot of China's real economy now. China's streets are growing quiet, a far cry from 10 years ago when every shop had customers and every home had lights on. How do people buy now? Online solves everything. A resident in Xiamen said, I even buy table salt online, offline is twice the price, why go out? A clothing shop owner put it more bluntly, opening the store every day is losing money, it's a burden. Better to close. How dramatic is the change? On Douyin you can see, in what should be bustling malls, the central atrium has become a badminton court, the open space under the spiral escalator is packed with people playing. A Fuzhou netizen said their mall turned into a basketball court. A staffer at a Chuanzhou pharmacy said, we barely see a few customers a day, now only 2 of us work shifts and we pad sales with daily goods. She said helplessly, the government tells us not to lie flat, but it's not that people want to lie down, they just can't help it. No jobs, no benefits, everything's getting more expensive, how are we supposed to spend? The wave of closures has become a tsunami. Think it's just a few shops? No, it's an avalanche. According to incomplete tallies by Elon Business, in 2024 alone China saw at least 12,000 storefront closures, spanning restaurants, apparel, culture, education, nearly 1,000 brands. Over 6,000 restaurants shut, more than 3,000 apparel shops folded, and the rest of the sectors combined added another 3,000 plus. Industry insiders revealed something harsher, that doesn't even include those that haven't cancelled their registrations, the real number could be double. It's not just mom-and-pop stores, big brands can't hold on either. Zara's parent cut China stores from 570 to under 200, Muji is also closing, especially in second-tier cities like Hangzhou, Wuhan, and Chongqing. A retail consultant added, in the past you could lean on franchisees, now even franchising is contracting. Why can't brick and mortar hang on? 3 mountains. First, high costs. Rents haven't fallen, labor is still rising. A Beijing roast duck owner said, we used to sell for 100, Now even at 40, no one comes. Second, tight credit. No money, no collateral. Banks won't lend, how can small shops survive? A Guangzhou restaurateur said flatly, I have no house to mortgage, everything's rented. Who still dares buy a house? Third, shattered confidence. People don't dare spend. If they can buy online, they won't go out. If they can avoid spending, they will. The touted revenge spending never appeared, instead it's revenge saving. E-commerce looks hot, but not everyone gets a slice. In 2024, national online retail hit 13 trillion yuan, impressive on paper. But 90% of traffic and money is concentrated in 10% of big sellers. Small shops, small brands, husband and wife stores, can't keep going. A Peking University sociologist put it bluntly, the urban grassroots commercial ecosystem is disintegrating. A Qingdao online shop owner added, platform commissions used to be 5%, now it's 10% to 15%. We little sellers look like we have volume, but we don't make money. Consumption downgrade becomes a national habit. Golden Week, travel hit 290 million trips, sounds good, right? But per capita spending was only 130 yuan, far below 3 years ago. The mindset has shifted, it's not that I don't want to spend, I don't dare. With housing pressure, unemployment risk, and medical and education costs all borne by families, household spending patterns have changed, necessities like food and rent take a bigger share, while discretionary categories like apparel and entertainment shrink across the board. For brick and mortar, that's practically a death sentence. Officials say total retail sales still rose 5% year-over-year in the first half of 2025. At first glance, not so bad? Economists warn, that's numerical bloating, divorced from street reality. Walk through a shopping district, you'll see rows of vacant shops, even on weekends. A Shanghai mall manager said, weekends used to see the first floor packed, now the entire building isn't full. The brands that left are gone, new tenants don't want in. She said, we can't rent them out, there's nothing we can do. China's brick-and-mortar stores aren't just consumption venues, they're networks of jobs, daily life, and human connection. That network is being rapidly pulled away. Platformized e-commerce isn't a problem per se, the problem is when a city's economic life shrinks to that little rectangle on a screen, what's left of our society? The mass closure of physical shops isn't only an industrial shift, it may be a silent collapse. Foreign investors trapped, China's real estate leaves them with nothing. In recent years, Chinese people often say, houses aren't selling. But you may not know, even foreigners are trapped in China's property market, and trapped badly. From BlackRock and Carlyle to HSBC and Standard Chartered, institutions that once bet heavily on Chinese real estate are now cutting losses and scrambling out, because they see no day of breaking even. China's property market isn't just a Chinese nightmare, it's now a foreign capital trap. A collective exodus is underway. Bloomberg reported on October 20 that since late 2024, international investment giants including BlackRock and Carlyle have been offloading Chinese properties at low prices. These commercial assets, office towers, shopping centers, data centers, warehouses, were bought at high prices. Now they can only be sold at steep discounts below market. Banks are dragged down too. Large institutions like HSBC and Standard Chartered have warned that default rates on Chinese property loans are soaring. This isn't one firm's mistake, it's a whole cohort of asset managers, investment banks, and property funds being held hostage by China's real estate. Over the past 15 years, these foreign institutions invested over $140 billion in Chinese property. What were they betting on? China's economy will keep growing, demand for commercial space will keep rising. So they bought prime offices in Beijing and Shanghai, believing those assets would appreciate and rent steadily. The result? A staggering drop. Since 2019, valuations for commercial property in Beijing and Shanghai have plunged over 40%. Rents fell too, office vacancy now runs 20% to 40%, among the highest globally. Consultants predict it may take years, perhaps a decade, to absorb the glut. Investors can only slash rents, renewals are 25% lower than before, and even then, there are no takers. Want to sell? No buyers. Even state-owned enterprises are hesitating, afraid to catch a falling knife. Bloomberg quoted APAC property analyst Patrick Wong bluntly, foreign investors' properties in China are locked in. That, locked in, isn't a metaphor. The longer they wait, the lower the value, the bigger the loss. The chain reaction of a bursting bubble. These depreciating assets don't just hurt individual holders, they drag down overall market valuations. Fitch's head of China real estate, Deng Biying, noted, the more bad assets, the further comparable valuations fall. Properties that might have held up get pulled under. It's like a flooding compartment dragging the whole ship down. Timing matters too. In 2019, foreign investment in China's real estate hit a record, nearly $20 billion flowed in. That turned out to be the peak. Then came the pandemic, lockdowns, zero COVID, economic slowdown, developer blow-ups, negative population growth. A chain of blows ground this foreign capital into the floor. Economists are pessimistic. Oxford economics analyst Nicholas Wilson projects office rents in China will keep falling through 2026. By 2030, the overall real estate market's output will still be below 2020 levels. In other words, this is a deep pit you can't climb out of for a decade. A commentary on China Aid News went further. China's real estate collapse is the concrete expression of the CCP's authoritarian pathology. When the whole economy over-relies on property and governments survive by selling land, the bubble's burst triggers a chain reaction. A wave of business failures, a jobs market collapse, household wealth wiped out, 900 million people burdened with debt, social tensions intensify, then come waves of suicides and indiscriminate acts of revenge. This isn't mere market fluctuation, it's a body blow to the entire system. Once, foreign capital treated China's real estate as a safe harbor. Now it's a crematorium, a bottomless pit. Those who trumpeted their entry and now leave with nothing have become the buried offerings of this financial mirage. $300 billion in subsidies to spur consumption, experts, it won't save China's economy. As foreign capital flees, the CCP chose another path, subsidies to stimulate consumption. But can that really save the economy? Or is it just delaying an unavoidable fall? This year, a 36-year-old Chinese doctor, Lisa Zhu, hopped aboard the subsidy train rolled out by the authorities to boost domestic demand and stimulate consumption, discounts for home appliances, subsidies for EVs. After buying an air conditioner and washing machine, Lisa said, "I probably won't buy again for 10 years. Beijing launched a 300 billion yuan consumer subsidy package to force spending out by subsidizing purchases of appliances, electronics, and EVs. The subsidy total is about 0.2% of China's GDP, small, but in today's conditions it's scraping the barrel. The goal is clear, to prop up 5% growth. What were the results? In the short term, the numbers looked better. Refrigerator sales jumped 48.3%, EVs up 34.9%, audiovisual equipment up 26.8%. But once the third quarter passed, the subsidy effect fell off a cliff. Economists call this model one-off consumption uplift, encouraging you to buy now, immediately, pulling forward the next year or two of spending. The result? A home appliance shop employee in Anhui, Shi Xiaolan, said June sales hit 13 million yuan, by July it was down to 3 million, and in the following months, not even 3 million. Because everyone already bought, they won't spend later. Days are getting harder and harder, she said. Nomura and Macquarie flash warnings. Nomura economist Lu Hanna pinpointed the crux: these subsidies don't raise household incomes, they create short-term, phantom consumption that ultimately slumps. Macquarie's chief China economist, Larry Hu, said the package, though only 0.2% of GDP, temporarily lifted growth by 0.5%, but the effect is fading fast. Nomura estimates, fourth quarter home appliance sales will plunge 20%, auto sales will drop 2%. In other words, this stimulus merely overdrew future consumption. An air conditioner shop owner in Jingzhou, Hubei, put it plainly: if people have no money, subsidies can't stimulate consumption. That sentence tells the truth. With household income growth stalled and unemployment high, trying to stoke consumption with small subsidies is like trying to feed a starving black bear with a few kernels of corn. China's biggest problem now is structural mismatch. Household consumption's share of GDP is about 20 percentage points below the global average, investment's share is about 20 points above. Where does government spending go? Not to households and better welfare, but to infrastructure, factories, production. The result: things are produced, but no one buys them. So you chase exports and external demand, while domestic demand stays weak, producing persistent deflation. Subsidies aren't the solution. Economists almost unanimously say, without structural reform, subsidies are just a short-term tonic, they cannot truly solve the problem. What happens when subsidies end? Shop sales fall, manufacturing orders shrink, employment worsens, people become even more afraid to spend. That's a vicious cycle. When consumers don't dare buy, foreign capital doesn't dare invest, brick and mortar can't survive, and the CCP's lies are punctured, we are standing at the beginning of a great upheaval.